Hello students, welcome back in virtual classroom. Let's facilitate learning. Today we are going to try to understand the meaning of the poem The Inchcape Rock, written by the poet Robert Southey. We already have discussed icebreakers and vocabulary in earlier video. You can get the link of this video in the description box. Now let's try to know about the poem, about poet and other things. Okay, first of all, let's speak about the poet of the poem. Robert Southey, who was born on 1774, died in 1843, was an English poet of the Romantic school. One of the so-called lake poets and poet laureate for 30 years from 1813 to his death in 1843. He was a prolific letter writer, literary scholar, essay writer, historian, and biographer. Perhaps his most enduring contribution to literary history is the immortal children's classic. The story of the three bears, the original Goldilocks story, which first saw print in 1834 in Southey's novel The Doctor. Let's speak about the poem. The Inchcape Rock by Robert Southey is a ballad. Before studying next information, first try to understand what is the meaning of word ballad. Actually, a ballad is a song that tells a story and it can be dramatic, funny or romantic. Traditionally, the ballad has been considered a folkloric verse narrative which has strong associations with communal dancing. Generally, the term is used for a narrative poem which uses an elliptical and highly stylized mode of narration. The technique of repetition with variation may play an important part in it. From the 18th century onwards, collection of folk or popular ballads began to be made. The form was taken up by some of the most influential poets of the late 18th century as a folkloric form of expression. A typical ballad consists of stanzas that contain a quatrain or four poetic lines. Some ballads have a refrain or a repeated chorus, just like a song does. The rhyme scheme adds musical quality to the poem. One famous ballad is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by English poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Now, the Inchcape Rock tells us about the legends on the Inchcape Rock, a reef in the North Sea about 18 kilometers off the east coast of Angus, Scotland. The story is about the good abbot of Aberbrothick and the devilish Sir Ralph the Rover. The abbot achieved the great feat of installing a bell on the dangerous Inchcape Rock that had previously caused many shipwrecks. His bell rang during the storms and issued an alert for the passing ships. So the seamen knew where the rock is and could avoid the danger of an accident. They blessed the abbot for his good work. But it was the rover who felt jealous at the fame of Abbott and planned to cut down the bell from the Inchcape Rock. And so he did. This Ralph the rover was actually a sea pirate. Do he needed to destroy the bell to accomplish his desire to rob more ships by putting them in danger? No. But finally, he himself was the victim of the Inchcape Rock. One day, his ship was left in the midst of storms, lost the direction, and crushed against the rock. Thus, the rover was punished for his sinful work. Here, the poet delivers a message through the poem. As you sow, so shall you reap. So, the poem is didactic in nature, like most of Southey's poems. The poem is a bit long, as the ballads should be. It consists of 17 stanzas of 4 lines each. The first two and the last 2 lines of each stanza rhyme with each other. The rhyme scheme is A-A-B-B for each stanza. Now, let's move to the next. Let's try to learn meaning of the poem stanza wise. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was as still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. In the first stanza of the poem, the poet describes the calmness of the sea. The air, the sea, the ship, all were still. The sails of the ship were getting no motion from the wind. Its keel was steady in the ocean. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape Bell. The second stanza describes the mild sea waves. The waves were rising and falling so little that they did not make any sign or sound. The waves were gently flowing over the Inchcape Rock without moving or ringing the bell. The abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape Rock. On a buoy in the storm it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung. The third stanza is about the bell. The good old abbot of Aberbrothock positioned the Inchcape Bell there on the Inchcape Rock. During the storms, it floated on a buoy and rang wildly swung by the high tides to alert everyone that the dangerous rock was there. When the rock was hit by the surges swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock and blessed the abbot of Aberbrothock. In the next 4 lines, the poet tells us how the bell guided the mariners in the bad weather. The seamen could see the rock as it stayed hidden under the high waves during the storms. But they could hear the ringing bell and went away from the perilous, means dangerous rock. So the bell saved their lives. Then the seafarers blessed the abbot for his good job. The sun in the heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled round, and there was joyance in their sound. The fifth stanza delivers a cheerful atmosphere as it generally happens before every disaster. On a particular bright day, everything looked joyful. The seabird were whirling over the sea and screaming in joy. The ball of the Inchcape Bell was seen, a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Ralph the Rover walked his deck, and he fixed his eye on the darker speck. In the sixth stanza of the poem, Sir Ralph is introduced for the first time. On that fine day, the boy means an anchored floating sign to show the reef was on the Inchcape Rock, which was clearly visible as it was a blackish spot in the green ocean. Sir Ralph the Rover went into the deck of his vessel and gazed at the dark spot of the boy. He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness. The next stanza deals with Ralph's feelings and thoughts. He was delighted at the good spring atmosphere. He was making whistling sounds and singing in joy. He was actually overjoyed. But no one knew that sinful thought in his mind was behind this happiness. His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he, my men, put out the boat, and row me to the Inchcape Rock, and I will plague the abbot of Aberbrothock. In the eighth stanza, the rover himself speaks and reveals his desire. His eyes were fixed on the floating boy on the Inchcape Rock. Sir Ralph the Rover ordered his crew to take the boat to the Inchcape Rock. Then he stayed, saying that he is going to plague, means kill or destroy, the good work of Abbot of Aberbrothock. The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape Rock they go. Sir Ralph bent over from the boat, and he cut the bell from the Inchcape float. The ninth stanza describes that the rover's men took the boat to the Inchcape Rock. There he bent over the boat and cut the bell from the rock. Down sank the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Ralph, the next who comes to the rock won't bless the abbot of Aberbrothock. The next stanza pictures how the bell was sinking down, making the bubbling sound. Bubbles rose and burst around. Sir Ralph was happy, thinking that the bell would save no more ships and the seamen would no longer bless the abbot. Sir Ralph the Rover sailed away. He sought the sea for many a day, and now grown rich with plunder's store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore. Sir Ralph the Rover then sailed away from the rock. Thereafter, he had robbed and looted many ships, which made accidents, crashing to the Inchcape Rock. He is now a rich man with all the looted treasures, and today he is going to the Scotland shore with his ship. So thick a haze overspread the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind hath blown a gale all day, at evening it hath died away. The 12th stanza describes the gloomy atmosphere on the day the rover is sailing to Scotland. The sun is hidden behind the thick fog. Strong winds were blowing all the day, and now in the evening it has stopped blowing. On the deck the rover takes his stand. To dark it is, they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, It will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. These 4 lines continues the gloom. The rover is now on the deck of his ship. They can't see land as it is very dark. Sir Ralph assures that the moon will appear soon and so there will be light. Canst hear, said one, the breakers roar, for methinks we should be near the shore. Now where we are I cannot tell, but I wish I could hear the Inchcape bell. In the 14th stanza, one of the Ralph's men says that he hears the roaring sound of the waves breaking against something. So he hopes they should be near the shore. He also regrets that the Inchcape bell is no more, as it could guide them in this situation. They hear no sound, the swell is strong, though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. O Christ, it is the Inchcape rock. But no sound was there. The tides were strong. The rover and his team are drifting along with the ship. Suddenly, the vessel gets a jerking. They all realize that the vessel has hit the Inchcape rock. Sir Ralph the rover tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. Sir Ralph the rover pulls his hair in frustration. He curses himself for his evil deeds. Meanwhile, the water fills in every corner of the vessel and it starts sinking in the sea. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear, a sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. In the last stanza of the poem, as the rover is dying, he hears a sound like the ringing of the Inchcape bell. It was actually his death knell that the devil himself was ringing beneath the water. Thus, the rover gets punishment for his sinful works. Robert Southey is a poet who always delivers a teaching through his poems. This too is not an exception. Thus, we try to learn the poem in simpler way. Now, we will meet in the next video again with new exciting information. Till then, keep smiling. Thank you.